Caroline.
So it's Radio Caroline Flashback. We're at the Cotswolds Motor Museum. I've got the pleasure of Mr. Robb Eden of Radio Caroline fame. Tell us about the history with you and Radio Caroline.
Well, obviously it goes back a long time. At the time when Radio Caroline came out off the Dutch coast again, for about the umpteenth time, I was actually on Northsea, R&I. But in April of '74, I was offered a job with the 2B commercial radio station in Liverpool, Radio City.
Yes.
So I left R&I, but Ronan asked me to help him, which I did, and I suddenly found myself sort of embroiled in things, and I found myself out on the ship at a time where, obviously Caroline was off the Dutch coast. It was motoring towards the Marine Offences Act in Holland in September that year. But I thought I'd spend a bit of time out in the summer out on Caroline, so that was my first big time out on the Mi Amigo, long term. But subsequently to that, I think I made a mistake going into commercial broadcasting in this country, because really it doesn't suit me. It's not my style of broadcasting.
In what way?
One, because of the type of broadcast, the formatted broadcasting. One of the reasons I love Caroline, and to be honest, with Northsea as well, I had my own brief as far as the music was concerned. On Northsea as well, I actually compiled the chart, the playlist that we had for the English service. And on Caroline, obviously, everybody could play what they wanted, and that's the type of radio I love and I enjoy. So, when Ronan said, "Look, go out to Holland and have a good time on the ship," I said, yeah, okay, I can do it.
Was there a big difference between working on the North Sea for Radio North Sea and working for Caroline?
Oh, very much so, very much so. North Sea was well organised. It was a business, and the Dutch office in Naarden or in Bussum organised everything out on the ship. It was clean, as you know. It was a well kept ship. We had a crew. We had stewards to serve us food. I don't know why, but we did. We had stewards to serve us.
You were well pampered.
Well, we were looked after, and in a way that helped my decision to go and do some work with Caroline, because I wanted to see what it was like on the Mi Amigo. And to answer your question, it was totally different, because the Mi Amigo was an old ship. Lots of problems, pumps manned at all times. But the difference was, I think, with the Mi Amigo, with the Caroline crew were much more together as a unit. As DJs on the ship, we were sort of together, but individuals as well. Whereas on the Caroline, on the Mi Amigo, the crew were all hands on deck. Literally, it was all hands on deck, because if anything happened, the DJs got involved. You didn't sit back and wait for someone else to do the work. If a transmitter went off, you did your bit. If something broke, you did your bit. If there was a crisis, you got involved. So my time on Caroline was great, and it was with some great people as well. Johnny Jason, Andy Archer, Mike Hagler. Just some wonderful broadcasters, and that makes a difference, I think, when you're in broadcasting, is that when you're working with people that teach you things, it's so good. It's very easy to work for stations where you're not actually learning anything from the people you're working with, which is not so good.
Now, as well as learning, it's taking criticism as well, so how was that?
I think in any forms of media, radio or television, you've always got critiques. You've always got people saying, that didn't sound too good or whatever. I think you just have to get on and do your bit. Don't you, really?
Honest criticism.
Yeah, honest criticism. Yeah, I think most criticism is honest, isn't it? It's, every now and again you get someone criticising for the sake of it. But honestly, with Caroline, it was different, because it wasn't there. It never tried to be this American type DJ station. It was a lot of music-loving people together that work for the cause. Simple as that.
I want to talk about the boat that rocked. Did you see the film?
I did actually. I again, it was a bit of a mishmash for me because working on the cruise ships, the boat that rocked was more about Northsea than Caroline. It was a multicoloured ship. It was all, sort of record libraries and space and whatever. Whereas on the Mi Amigo, it was all very confined. It was a small ship, and so everything was much smaller. So it was quite interesting, the whole sort of the way that they approach things. It's what they've done is sort of mixed all the stories together and put them, and it became the boat that rocked.
So did you find it entertaining or not quite what it should have been?
I must admit, I thought the way they mixed the music from the 60s with the storyline, I thought was very good. It was nice. In fact, to my mind, when they played, for instance, the Turtles' "Happy Together," it made it sound as though it was a brand new track in a way. It gave it that whole new depth to the thing.
And just moving up to the present time, what do you do now, radio-wise?
Radio-wise, I run a station here in the North Cotswold called North Cotswold Community Radio. And we have the same sort of ethos as Caroline does. The DJs, or we presenters, we give them carte blanche to do what they want. One of the reasons we're not on FM, and we've been asked several times by an OFCOM to do something in the North Cotswolds, but we decided not to. One, because of the cost, but two, because of the terrain here. It's very difficult to run one station on the meagre power that Ofcom allow you to use. But two, there are certain things we do that we wouldn't be allowed to do if we were licensed. And again, going back to Caroline, one of the reasons we were good is because we had that ability to say what we wanted, but in most cases people didn't. That's what's so different, I think. And we always had the BBC sort of pointing a finger at us and saying, well, Caroline do this and Northsea do that, but we're not allowed to, and all that. But if you look at what the BBC has done for broadcasting in this country recently, then I'm afraid, Caroline and Northsea and the Pirates really showed them the way to what broadcasting should be like. I think that since the demise of the pirate stations, the broadcasters have been let off in a way because there's no competition there. They're all doing the same thing. It's all formatted. There's nothing new, and it's a sad fact of life that things become very staid if you've got no one else pushing you, pushing.
That's been my next question about modern radio. You've said it for me.
It's a disaster, really, because I just find I tune in to various stations just to find out what they're doing, and there's nothing of interest. There's absolutely nothing of interest.
Do you think it's Ofcom or the way the public perceive radio now? The way
it's a mix of everything. There's just so much media now. There's so much information that it's very difficult for people to decide what's good, what's bad. I think Ofcom and the BBC are to blame because the BBC, really, their remit should be one of bringing new ideas, new people through. But what's happened is they've become like a commercial radio and television station, paying their stars lots of money. Who needs that? There are lots and lots of talented young people and older people who are able to command being on the BBC. And it's sad that the BBC haven't taken up that the whole, their ability to be able to take on some of these people and make them into stars. And when they're stars, they shouldn't stay with the BBC on £1 million a week. They should go on to commercial television and radio and get paid that sort of money there. That's the way it should be. And running the community radio station here, I also believe that the BBC should oversee community radio in this country. And what they should do is that they should give all the community stations across the country the skills, the technical skills. They should be able to, take information from those community radio stations and broadcast it via the networks. So I think the BBC have lost their way as far as that's concerned. And with commercial radio and television, what's happened is, instead of having a choice now, wherever you are in the country, you've got the same radio station. They're playing the same music, nothing new at all. Even the ones that, like the ones that say they're different, like Jack FM and whatever, they always go back to that old tried and tested type formatted radio, which is, to be honest, is not for me at all.
Well, thanks, Rob, so much for speaking to me.
All right.
It's been really interesting. Thank you.
Okay.